going on, Jerome's? So as we've been rolling through free agency, a main topic of conversation is 2026 compensatory picks. All right. So how are the Vikings going to operate? Because the more CFA, qualified free agents, that you lose versus the number that you sign, you get some credit, right? And remember, cut players don't count whether you sign them or if you cut them, you don't get credit either way. Same thing with trades. So no debit from Jordan Mason, no credit from Ed Ingram, etc. But the Vikings been super active in free agency. Will Fries. Do you know Will Fries is the only 5-year deal signed in free agency this offseason? Kind of crazy. But Byron Murphy, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, big-time money for the Vikings, but zero impact on the 2026 compensatory picks because Murphy was an in-house free agent, as well as Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave were off of cut contracts from the Commies and the 49ers, respectively. Now, then you got Ryan Kelly at a pretty cheap deal, $9 million per. Tavierre Thomas, $2 million. Everyone else is going to have a contract that's not going to register on the comp pick scale. And, Tavierre Thomas doesn't register either. And also the players that the Vikings lost. So this is massive. So you got Sam Darnold on a massive deal. Cam Beasley, $15 million per. Patrick Jones getting some decent coin. Daniel Jones, $14 million per. Cam Robinson just got 12. That could be bumped up to 14.5. Remember, Bradbury doesn't count, even though he signed with the Patriots because that's off a cut contract. Sherfield, etc. So as of right, meow, here's where the Vikings sit in terms of 2026 compensatory picks. Not 2025, so not this year, so next year. And right now, the Vikings are looking at a third and a fourth. Now, we had aired yesterday projecting a third and a fifth, but it is what it is. This is from Over the Cap. They're very good at reverse engineering things. So right now, you have Darnold and Daniel Jones as your two standout qualifying picks. Also, what's interesting is that the Vikings have number 97 in 2025 from last offseason's compensatory pick formula because Kirk Cousins was the highest paid free agent. Vikings do that again with Sam Darnold. So it's looking likely that they'll have pick number 97 again in 2026. Jones qualifying for fourth, and then you look who cancel each other out. Cam Beasley, Will Fries, Cam Robinson, Ryan Kelly, Patrick Jones second, Isaiah Rodgers. Now, we've talked about how it's very likely that the Vikings, if they're going to sign a veteran backup like a Flacco, that they'll wait until the compensatory pick window closes until after the draft, because say Flacco gets $6.5 million, which is pretty average for a veteran backup quarterback. That could impact things at the comp. That might even cancel out the fourth rounder. Now, it wouldn't be 1-for-1. Flacco would register as a 6th round pick, but that could cancel out a fourth. Don't ask me how. Over the Cap does the math. They're much better at it than I. Also, you look at the contracts that still have yet to be registered. So Wilson, Okudah, Rondale Moore, probably all going to be below 3.5. So $3.5 million per season is about the line of demarcation for getting qualified as a 7th round compensatory pick, whether for or against you. Now, the Vikings could get a little bit more help, because a couple of the Vikings free agents that are still hanging out there, Stephon Gilmore, projected if he signs somewhere and doesn't retire, could get $5 million. Reisner, Reisner's so weird. Like, Reisner just never signs ever, right? So for the Vikings his first year, it took him all the way into training camp, and then was it training camp before? Doesn't matter. Either way, Reisner just doesn't sign during the free agency period. Maybe Alexis Summers in limbo. Who knows? But Gilly, Shaq Griffin, maybe coming off an expired contract. Powell, probably not going to be Brank the Bank. And you'll see free agency slow down about this time of year, where teams are very cognizant of their compensatory picks, and teams that are looking to get credit, which is a decent amount of the league. Like, they'll slow down their spending until after the comp pick window closes after the draft. Or teams that are just screwed either way, keep spending. Just shoot or shoot. That's what's up. And as of right now, here's the Vikings draft picks projected for 2026. So they have their first, second, and third round picks, their own ones, which is kind of nice. Yeah, that third round compensatory pick, likely the first of the comp picks at number 97, own 4th round pick, and then the projected 4th round comp pick from Daniel Jones. And here's what's interesting. So they're down a 5th round pick because of the Cam Robinson trade with Jacksonville. And then you look at the 6th round picks. So there's a couple trades on here that are conditional 6th round picks. And I don't think all the conditions were met, because 2 of the trades were from Cam Akers from the Rams and then from the Texans. And also you look at the Vikings getting a 6th rounder from Houston, and they sent that one to San Francisco. So I don't think Cam Akers made the conditions in the first trade from the Rams. So I think that might just be a wash, or the Vikings that might get knocked down to a 7th round pick either way. But the Vikings also are rolling in 7th round picks because they have their own. They have a 7th from Cam Akers. Again, that could get wiped out because I don't know if Cam met the conditions for that first trade. Then they got Houston's 7th round pick for 2026 because of also the Cam Akers deal. And then the Vikings got Robinson in a pick swap. So they sent the 5th and got Robinson and the 7th from Jacksonville. So that's where they sit right now. Overall, doing pretty good. And Kwesi is trying to turn a corner here because the Vikings did have to spend in free agency over these last 2 off seasons to help supplement a rooster. I mean, yeah, the 2022 draft hurt in terms of depth. So that's why the Vikings hammered free agency last year. That's why they're able to bring in a huge class. And also this year, same thing. And the Vikings cleaned up cap space from Kirk Cousins and Daniel Hunter and Marcus Davenport, and they got after things. And again, Kwesi, very smart. Yeah, re-signing your own guys doesn't count against you. Signing cut guys doesn't count against you. And overall, operating very well. And it is a sign of a healthy franchise and healthy roster construction that you aren't overpaying in free agency, because free agency is a tax on teams that can't draft well. Again, I say that understanding that the Vikings were big-time players in free agency the last 2 off seasons, but also free agency is meant to supplement your team. You don't build your team through free agency, and if you are drafting guys consistently, letting them go and having other teams overpay them, and then you're being very judicious about who you bring in off of cut contracts or under the threshold, I mean, it makes sense. And then you'll have extra draft picks, and if you're good at drafting, you should be good to go. I mean, the Ravens did this for years. Patriots did this for years. Spielman and the Vikings did this for years. So hopefully Kwesi will get this roster to the point where constantly just bringing in comp picks over and over and over again. It's going to be good to go. But your thoughts are thoughts. Take a look at the 2026 Vikings compensatory picks update from our friends over at Over the Cap. Let us know. Comment section, subscribe, support, Venmo, Skull, production value.